What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. I've been thinking about making this video for a while now on my M4 and I just haven't had enough experience. But now it's been a year, we've went through 2 M4s, so I think it's about time we tell you the 10 things I hate about this car. Now, of course, the first thing we have to talk about is how the car sounds. Now, this is a thing that a lot of people hate about the M4 and the S55 platform, is that it kind of sounds a little crappy. But for me personally, I don't mind the sound when it's warm. But when it's cold, that's a different story. This car on cold start and you like let it sit for a little bit and then you start driving it and the car isn't completely warm, it is the raspiest thing. But once it's warm, it sounds pretty good. See, it doesn't sound that bad, but just that initial cold start or even like a lukewarm start and you leave in a parking lot, it sounds awful. Now, since we're on the topic of cold starting, let's go over the next thing, which is the rattling that happens inside the car when the car is on cold start, especially when you have an exhaust. Like, I don't know what it is, but on cold start, the car just hits a certain frequency and vibrations, that stuff just like rattles loose. My old car had the exact same exhaust setup and the little visor that goes up on the back window lost like 2 of its bolts and it just kept rattling and it sounded awful. And it took me like a week and a half to find it. And now this car is starting to have a rattle in the back too, and I don't know where it's coming from. That's number 3. BMW added in the bling, I don't know when, but they put it into this car and that little blinging noise is so annoying. Usually that happens when you get a drivetrain malfunction or something really serious. So as a BMW owner, you're kind of trained to like, if you hear that sound, you're like, oh God, something's wrong. But even if this car has 0 issues, you get in the car in the morning, press the button and start it, it makes that annoying blinging noise and you can't turn it off. Now, as you can tell, my car is not stock, which then leads me into the 4th thing I hate about this car, which is how fragile the stock performance parts are on this car. Now we are at InW Performance and look at my Corvette. She is all torn to pieces right now. We are waiting for the fuel system. We just got the flex fuel kit. And then once we get this car back together, boys, it's gonna make so much power. But like I was saying, the M4 and its stock parts are not strong at all. I've even heard of people breaking parts and they haven't even tuned their car, which makes this platform very expensive. Now, as you can see, I already have upgraded a lot of things. One mainly being the charge cooler. The OEM one is very weak. Once it gets over like extreme temperatures or is used a lot, the stock charge cooler cracks, and then you have coolant leaking into your J pipe, and it's just not a good time. You have a bunch of coolant loss, the car doesn't run good. So mine failed, so that got upgraded before I even bought the car. And then my stock charge pipes were plastic from factory, and those crack over extreme heat, and mine cracked and I had a bunch of boost leaks. So we have upgraded SSR charge pipes now. I haven't upgraded the J pipe yet because, well, it hasn't failed yet. So that's probably another thing in the future that we gotta upgrade. However, over the grand scheme of things, those are cheap compared to this thing. Now, if you're familiar with the S55 and you've been looking at these cars for a while, you will know exactly what this is. This is a crank hub. Now, I upgraded my crank hub. This is actually my stock one. And what happens is once you tune the car or go over extreme amounts of torque, what will happen is these will not spin together and one will spin faster than the other. And that causes you to spin your crank and your engine basically seizes. And that's happened to a lot of S55 owners, and it's more of a preventative maintenance thing, but this is a $4,000 preventative maintenance thing. Now, the upgraded crank hub that I have, these 2 pieces are welded together and there's pins that poke out and go into the crank, causing this thing to not spin at all, basically making the engine bulletproof for high amounts of torque, downshifting super fast and all that. Now before we get into the last 6 things that I hate about my M4, we gotta thank today's sponsor, Custom Interior. Now this mod is specifically for the Corvette, and yeah, it's in pieces, but we're still gonna mod it. Do we have any guesses on what this could be? Oh yeah, we got new seats, baby. Now currently the Corvette has these old OEM seats, and you can see they've been through a lot of wear. And right here, like the black is starting to fade, and I think it's time for just a little bit of a tweak. Now if you're looking to transform your interior, Custom Interior is the best place to stop and look first. Personally for me, I wanted to change out my seats on my Corvette eventually, because the ones I have now are a little dated and they're also cracked and have been used. But I didn't want to drop a ton of money on brand new seats. So then I thought about seat covers, but I've never seen a seat cover that matched the car perfectly until I found Custom Interior. Now they have a wide variety of different vehicles on their website to choose from. And not only that, but they also have a wide variety of styles and color options that will match the rest of your OEM trim. I also like how their website is super easy to use. A lot of places don't have really easy installation options, and they also have YouTube videos showing you exactly how to install your seats, which I had to use that because I was very confused on this. But at the end of it all, I am super hyped with how this thing turned out. I even asked a ton of my friends, hey, do you think these are seats or did I get seat covers? And they're like, bro, did you get new seats? And I'm like, nah, just Custom Interior. So if you haven't already, click the link down in the description below and let's get back to the video. All right, now I got 6 more things to talk about with my M4. We're done with the Corvette for the day, but the next thing that I hate about this car is the BMW sensors. Now, I had a lot more sensor issues with the gray M4 because I had that one through winter, and in the winter time, if you don't put this thing in, traction control all the way off, if one tire spins more than the other, it'll throw a differential malfunction. And that scared the heck out of me. And for some people, they would take it to a BMW place, spend like $200 to get it diagnosed, and they just say, oh, nothing's wrong. So sensors on this car can be an issue, like my clock spring, which is actually on the steering wheel, that had dust on it on my gray M4 and failed. My gray M4 only had 30,000 miles on it, and that sensor failed. So little things like that are a really big pain. And sometimes with sensors, like parking sensors, for example, you won't know which one failed. It'll just say that something stopped working, and then you'll try and figure out which one, and it's literally a crapshoot. But that's probably the other thing that I really hate about this car is like, it's almost too safe. Like there's almost too many sensors. Now the nice thing about BMWs is there's a lot of them and parts are relatively cheap compared to like Audi and Mercedes. However, installing parts can be really expensive if you don't do it yourself. An alignment on this car is like $600, $500 because it has connected drive and it has a bunch of cameras on it, and BMW only has the tool in my area to align the car and align the cameras, and since my car's so low, they can't even do an alignment. So I had to take it to a second party and not get my cameras aligned. It was cheaper, but literally if you want something done perfectly, it's gonna cost a lot of money, especially if you take it to a dealer. Now the next one is about driving this car. If this car is not your daily or you don't drive it that often, the first few times you're rolling in first, this is gonna happen to you. That is just the DCT, and I don't know why it does that. I think it has something to do with the clutches, but it's really annoying. And that's probably one of the other things I hate about this car is just like the first few times I will forget that this car does that and everything jolts, I spill my drink, and it's just not a good time. Now before I owned this car, I only owned Audis. Now the Audi community is a lot different from the BMW community, and with that being said, the BMW community is a lot bigger, but it's either people are gonna support you 110% or they're gonna completely on you 110%. There's no like in between, especially M4 and B58 beef, that's a thing. Like, if someone has an M4 or an M3 and it's the S55, and someone has the B58, which is a completely different platform, they will hate on your car. Or S55 owners will hate on their car. I've never understood that, but it's a big thing, and I kind of just don't like that part about owning this car, is the fact that it's either you're targeted or you're supported 100%. I don't know, I came from a community where everybody got along. Which then brings me to the 9th thing that I hate about this car, which is how loud the brakes are and the heat shielding around the wheel and the brake itself. It creaks, they squeal, and when you pull up to a car meet and you have a really clean car and a sound like that comes from that car, it immediately, to me anyways, makes the car seem cheap. And now the 10th and final thing that I hate about this car, and it's honestly probably my fault because I got a 2015. My lithium-ion battery failed on this car. Lithium-ion batteries only last about 10 years, and BMW went to that, I'm guessing because of how many electronics are equipped on these vehicles. But once those batteries go out, good luck finding another one. A new one from a dealership is like over $2 grand, and luckily I found mine used for 700 bucks off of a 2018 car that was wrecked. But that would be the 10th thing that I hate about this car, is that if you get one that's used and is like somewhat older in the years, like I got mine, because honestly I think that's the best thing to do, is to get a used car, because there's no difference from this car to like the 2020 aside from the headlights and taillights. So I mean, just get updated headlights and taillights and you basically got a 2020 aside from a little bit of Apple CarPlay stuff in the interior. So that would be the other thing that I hate, is that the lithium-ion battery, it's a really good battery, but it's a really expensive thing when that goes out. Now with all this stuff into consideration, would I buy one of these cars again? 100%. Honestly, I nitpicked the heck out of this car to make that list, and honestly, I would never, ever, ever not buy this car again. This car is amazing, it looks great, sounds awesome. The performance stuff that comes with this car is literally next level. Like, you put a tune on this thing and you're peeling out the tires so crazy like you saw today. I mean, there's nothing that this car can't do. But anyways guys, that's me today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell. And if you want to know the 10 things I love about this car, maybe we should make a video about that sometime in the future. But I'll see you guys next time. Drive safe.